global seafood market, valued at over 400 billion USD, continues to grow steadily. Behind that impressive figure lies a silent battle on the open sea, where fearless fishermen and massive industrial vessels brave rough waters, violent waves, and harsh weather every day and night to bring in millions of tons of fresh seafood each year. With the advent of modern fishing technology, a new era has begun, where human labor is replaced by machine power and productivity has multiplied many times over. This video will take you on a journey into the world of modern fishing, revealing how fishermen across continents are shaping the future of the seafood industry in the global tech age. The first stop, the Mediterranean Sea, where every June hundreds of massive vessels set out to hunt the ocean's silver warriors, known for their power, speed, and immense economic value, bluefin tuna. With muscular bodies and arrow-like speed cutting through the waves, bluefin tuna are the ocean's fiercest adversaries. To subdue them, fishermen use purse-seine vessels, a method that accounts for more than half of the region's total catch. With nets stretching 1.5 kilometers long and 200 meters high, closing like a massive wall of water around the schools of fish. When the radar detects a target, the support vessels tighten the net's bottom, kicking off a tense battle of strength between humans and the sea. A single haul can yield 30 to 50 tons of live fish. Even giants, weighing 300 kilograms, thrash violently, forcing fishermen to coordinate precise handling to preserve the otoro belly, the most prized part for expensive sashimi. As hydraulic cranes lift the catch onto the deck, sunlight glints off the silver skin, a moment of human triumph over the ocean. Alongside this, longline fishing remains a favored traditional technique due to its selectivity and long reach. Kilometers of lines baited with live fish are dropped to depths of 50 to 200 meters, where bluefin tuna hunt ferociously. After hours, fishermen haul in the lines, an intense test of strength that continues until a fish weighing hundreds of kilograms is subdued with gaffs and pulleys. Each catch of bluefin tuna is not only a prize, but also a testament to human strength, skill, and determination against the mighty ocean. Jellyfish, soft-bodied creatures famed for their ethereal beauty, are also considered a delicacy in certain regions. Among the more than 2,000 jellyfish species worldwide, only about 10% are edible, with cannonball jellyfish and Asian white jellyfish being the most commonly consumed. Every November, in the waters off Georgia, USA, the cannonball jellyfish harvest reaches its peak. Large, high-powered vessels set out to sea, deploying enormous bottom-dragging nets stretching hundreds of meters to collect tons of jellyfish per haul. The physically demanding task of hauling nets has now been replaced by high-capacity hydraulic winches, which lift the catch directly onto conveyor belts leading straight to the onboard processing area. After harvesting, jellyfish are usually washed, separated, and salted immediately to preserve quality before export. Meanwhile, in parts of Asia, the giant white jellyfish, with a diameter of nearly half a meter and weighing up to 20 kilograms each, are most sought after during the spring and summer seasons. Here, trawl nets are preferred for their flexibility and efficiency in shallow coastal waters. Once a net is filled with jellyfish, fishermen use long-handled scoops to lift each individual gently onto bamboo rafts. Unlike the Western industrial process, Asian fishermen maintain traditional methods. Jellyfish are processed immediately on shore, covered with sand and rubbed thoroughly to remove the thick slime layer, then sliced into thin strips or pieces before being sent to further processing facilities. Each harvest season brings in thousands of tons of fresh jellyfish, providing a significant source of income for coastal communities. In China, where turtles are regarded as symbols of longevity, they are also a valuable source of food and medicinal ingredients, raised on commercial farms with closed-cycle systems and a lifespan of just 12 to 18 months. To harvest them, farmers wade into muddy ponds, where turtles often bury themselves deeply to rest. Every action is performed slowly and carefully to avoid shocking the turtles or muddying the water. When a turtle is spotted, it is gently lifted by hand or with a long-handled net, taking care not to scratch the shell or break any limbs. Larger individuals usually lie deeper, requiring endurance and patience, as farmers dig through layers of fine mud by hand, with skillful yet decisive movements. After each capture, turtles are washed and placed in water-filled mesh cages to reduce stress before transport. Every year, tens of thousands of farms in China produce over 300 million commercial turtles, serving domestic consumption and medicinal use, as well as exports to Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia, creating a multi-billion-dollar aquaculture industry. On floating farms along the western Atlantic coast, farmers enter oyster harvest season. These small bivalves generate hundreds of millions of dollars in economic value each year. Unlike fish or shrimp, harvesting oysters requires patience, biological knowledge, and precise timing. Each farm must wait 18 to 36 months before harvest, depending on the species and the salinity of the waters. The harvesting method varies by farming model. In floating systems, rack and bag, oysters are raised in mesh bags suspended on racks, each containing 50 to 100 oysters, swaying in nutrient-rich currents. When ready, workers use hydraulic pulleys to lift the bags onto the boat, a swift and decisive operation that preserves freshness and keeps the shells intact. In bottom or wild harvest systems, fishermen use dredges dragged along the seabed to gather oysters. This method yields larger quantities but requires high skill, as even a small mistake can crack shells or mix in mud and sand, affecting quality. Oysters are extremely sensitive to temperature shocks and impacts, so from the moment they are lifted to the initial processing stage, every factor, time, temperature, and humidity, is strictly controlled. Upon reaching port, the oysters still hold droplets of seawater in their shells, carrying the ocean's breath and preserving their freshness and characteristic briny flavor, the very essence of the sea encapsulated in each rugged shell. Mahi, also known as dolphin fish, is a tropical species renowned for its shimmering blue-gold scales and incredible swimming speed of up to 90 kilometers per hour, ranking among the 10 fastest fish in the world and a prized catch for sport anglers in tropical waters. For professional fishermen, landing a large mahi is a once-in-a-lifetime triumph, with a success rate of only about 10 to 15%. In the United States, most are caught using the trolling technique, dragging bait at high speed along the water's surface, a method that demands agility, quick reflexes, and endurance. When a fish strikes, the impact can bend the rod and snap the line, forcing the angler to maintain balance and reel continuously in a fierce contest of strength and precision. Beyond sport fishing, mahi is also harvested commercially, with an annual yield of around 100,000 tons across Hawaii, the Caribbean, and the Pacific Ocean. Its firm, lean white meat, rich in protein, makes it a premium delicacy, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for the tropical seafood industry. Carp, a notorious invasive species despised in the United States, is conversely a highly valued and widely consumed food fish across many Asian countries, particularly in China and Vietnam. Here, carp are raised in earthen ponds, artificial lakes, or flooded rice fields, where natural water resources are utilized to the fullest. Unlike the massive trawlers used in offshore fisheries, carp farming relies on simple tools such as hand nets, lift nets, or stationary traps, traditional yet effective methods suited to lowland terrain and small-scale family operations. During harvest season, ponds are carefully drained in a controlled manner, and tons of carp are manually scooped up with sweep nets, then quickly transferred into aerated cold water tanks to keep them alive and fresh. The process is fast, precise, and requires seamless coordination among dozens of workers. Each year, China produces over 17 million tons of carp, most of which supplies the domestic market, while the rest is exported to neighboring Asian countries such as Vietnam, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. The sea cucumber harvest season takes place from late spring to early autumn, mainly in the waters of Japan, the Korean Peninsula, and China's coastal regions, when tides, temperature, and ocean currents align to create ideal conditions. Beneath the deep blue waters, the glow of dive lights and sonar beams sweep across the sandy seabed, searching for the soft, flexible bodies of sea cucumbers hidden within fine sediments. In the past, this trade relied entirely on divers. Today, however, industrial-scale operations demand greater speed and efficiency, and specialized bottom trawl nets have become the optimal solution. Large vessels equipped with GPS and high-precision sonar continuously scan the ocean floor to locate dense clusters of sea cucumbers. Once the golden zone appears on the screen, the trawl nets are deployed. Their mesh size carefully adjusted to capture sea cucumbers while avoiding damage to coral and other marine life. The nets glide gently along the seabed, stirring up a thin layer of sand and sweeping the sea cucumbers into the holding chamber like a stream of moving sand. When the nets are hauled up, hundreds of kilograms of fresh sea cucumbers slide down seawater, rinsing troughs, cleaned, and immediately transferred into ice boxes or recirculating cold storage systems. Fast, precise, and efficient, this process allows fishermen to harvest tons of sea cucumbers within just a few hours, marking the dawn of industrialization for the so-called ginseng of the sea. This massive deep-sea trawl net is the ultimate tool for fishermen in the North Atlantic, aiding them in their quest to capture fish species that dwell hundreds of meters beneath the ocean's surface, most notably deep-sea redfish. With an opening span that can reach over 150 meters, the trawl acts like a steel arm sweeping across the seabed and gathering entire schools of fish hidden in the pitch-black depths. When full, the colossal net can hold more than 100 tons of fish, requiring a high-powered hydraulic winch system to haul it aboard amid the rough waves of the North Atlantic. As the net is opened on deck, streams of redfish cascade into the vessel's deep-chilled storage compartments, where processing begins immediately to preserve maximum freshness. Each year, over 100,000 tons of redfish are harvested from the North Atlantic, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, helping the region maintain its reputation as the world's largest hub for deep-sea fishing. The Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, USA, is the capital of the premium blue crab, famed for its sweet, firm, white meat and delicate flavor, fetching prices 3 to 5 times higher than ordinary crabs. The steel cage trap remains the only and most efficient method for harvesting this prized species. Each morning, when crabs are most active and the tides are favorable, fishermen bait the traps with small fish and deploy hundreds of cages along tidal channels, marking each location with floating buoys. Accurate marking is essential, as even a slight mistake could cause traps to drift away or disappear completely beneath the water. After a few hours, they return to haul in the catch, lifting each trap onto the deck. Each cage typically holds up to 15 mature blue crabs, depending on the season and population density. With hundreds of traps retrieved in succession, each trip yields hundreds of kilograms of live, fresh crabs. Highly efficient, easy to operate, and environmentally friendly, trap fishing has remained the primary method for Chesapeake Bay fishermen for decades. In November, the Bering Sea comes alive with fleets of sturdy fishing vessels cutting through icy waves in pursuit of migrating schools of fat, glistening cod. Long lines stretching 30 to 50 kilometers are dropped deep into the seabed, each carrying thousands of hooks baited with fresh fish. After several hours, or sometimes half a day, the lines are hauled back up through mist and frost, heavy with gleaming, freshly caught cod. Developed in the early 20th century, this fishing method remains common in Norway, Alaska, and Russia. It stands out for its selectivity, maintaining excellent fish quality while minimizing bycatch and environmental impact. However, its low efficiency and the sea's brutal conditions make longline fishing unsuitable for large-scale industrial operations. That's why bottom trawling has become the main weapon of modern fishing fleets. Massive trawl nets sweep across the cold seabed, capturing tens of tons of cod in each haul from the frozen depths. Once the nets are filled with their silvery bounty, gone are the days of back-breaking manual hauling. Today, hydraulic winches, heavy-duty pulleys, and automated net drum systems act as the fishermen's iron allies, lifting tons of fish from the sea with precision, saving time and labor, and greatly improving both productivity and safety at sea. Harvesting sea urchins by hand diving may sound simple, but in reality, it's a job that demands strength, skill, and absolute precision. Divers equipped with masks, snorkels, anti-spike gloves, and a curved iron hook, their only tool between them and the spiny creatures clinging to the seabed, 5 to 10 meters below, must work with utmost care. A single wrong move can crack the shell, ruin the roe, or cause the diver to be painfully pricked by the sharp spines. Each urchin is gently pried loose, placed into a mesh bag tied to the diver's waist, and brought up to the boat in small batches. A skilled diver can harvest anywhere from 100 to 300 sea urchins a day, depending on the region and population density. These divers are more than just fishermen. They're underwater ecologists, selecting only mature urchins while avoiding the young ones to preserve the natural balance of marine life. Another highly effective method is bottom net harvesting, a technique quite different from traditional fishing nets. Instead of maximizing speed or net spread, bottom nets for sea urchins are designed with smaller mesh, flexible frames, and excellent seabed contact, helping to maintain the urchin's shape during collection. The nets are either fixed in place or slowly towed behind a vessel. As they pass over the seabed, sea urchins are gently swept inside by the movement of water and the light pulling force of the boat. This method allows for large-scale harvesting in a short amount of time, making it suitable for industrial operations. However, it also comes with drawbacks: higher damage rates, as the urchins can be bruised, crushed, or mixed with seaweed and debris, directly affecting the quality of their precious roe inside. Next stop, the flooded rice fields of Louisiana, where crawfish, small yet incredibly profitable creatures, are harvested in a way that's uniquely American. With practiced precision, the harvester lifts the trap, gives it a quick shake to let the crawfish tumble into a ventilated stainless steel bin, then swiftly rebaits and drops it back into the exact same spot, creating a seamless, continuous harvesting cycle. Every motion demands speed and accuracy, as even the slightest mistake could affect the day's entire catch. In the sweltering heat and thick mats of floating weeds, these workers handle between 500 and 1,000 traps a day. Thanks to their relentless effort, Louisiana produces over 50,000 tons of crawfish each year. accounting for more than 90% of the entire U.S. supply and generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Here, on these waterlogged fields, Americans have turned a humble, mud-dwelling creature into the red gold of their domestic seafood industry. Have you ever seen a flying fish? If that question sparks your curiosity, head to the southern seas of Japan and Taiwan between May and July, where millions of flying fish, with wing-like fins shimmering like blades of blue steel, leap from the water and glide through the air, turning the impossible into reality. But how exactly are these fish that fly harvested? Today, with the help of radar and sonar navigation systems, locating schools of flying fish has become more precise than ever. Fishermen deploy specialized purse seine nets, lightweight, evenly buoyed, and with mesh just small enough to hold the fish without tearing their delicate fins or scales. Once released, the net unfurls into a massive arc, a soft trap stretching across the open sea, ready to close when the school swims inside. As the soft trap begins to tighten, the calm surface of the sea suddenly erupts with life. Beneath the clear blue water, thousands of flying fish shimmer and thrash, their silver bodies flashing in the sunlight. They don't take flight this time. They twist and struggle in silence, creating a scene both fierce and breathtakingly beautiful. On deck, the roar of hydraulic winches fills the air as the crew works in perfect rhythm, hauling in meters of heavy, silver-laden net. When the bulging net finally rises above the waves, tons of flying fish spill onto the deck, glinting like liquid silver under the sun. In a single haul, 3 tons of fish, the hard-earned reward of a day spent conquering the ocean. This long-line system, stretching for tens of kilometers, is on a mission to conquer the silver assassins of the sea, the mighty swordfish of the Pacific and North Atlantic Oceans, famed for their lightning speed, explosive power, and relentless fighting spirit. Thousands of baited hooks are suspended along the water's surface, precisely balanced between floats and weights, forming an immense hunting network, cast exactly where these gleaming predators prowl the deep blue. Once the setup is complete, the line is left to drift overnight in the open sea. Each strike from a swordfish sends the lines snapping tight and the buoys jerking violently, the signal for the crew to spring into action. Hydraulic winches roar to life, reeling in meters of line with the screech of steel on steel. The hooked swordfish thrashes wildly, leaping from the water, sometimes charging straight toward the boat. Every powerful lash of its blade-like bill poses real danger, demanding endurance, skill, and perfect coordination from the crew to bring it under control. In places like Hawaii, Florida, and the Caribbean, the pursuit of giant swordfish has even evolved into a prestigious ocean sport, drawing thousands of professional anglers from around the world, where the clash between human and silver warrior becomes a test of mastery, courage, and the spirit of the sea itself. Massive purse seine nets with radii stretching for kilometers are set up in the Barents Sea every October to intercept migrating schools of capelin, numbering in the hundreds of millions. Designed to capture schooling migratory fish such as capelin, herring, and sardines, purse seine nets have never disappointed Arctic fishermen thanks to their precision and near-perfect efficiency. Within minutes, the entire school is enclosed in the net and gradually hauled toward the ship's side by a hydraulic winch system. The highlight of modern fishing technology is the high-pressure vacuum pump, the heart of the vessel. Without having to lift the net onto the deck, the fish are sucked directly from the net through steel pipes, rushing like a silver waterfall into refrigerated holds, Dozens of tons of fresh capelin are pumped aboard at a rate of over 100 tons per hour, streaming through the pipes like a silver flood straight into the deep freeze compartments. By applying advanced automated fishing equipment, Norwegian fishermen harvest over 300,000 tons of capelin annually, which are processed into roe, oil, and fish meal, valuable food and raw materials of the North Atlantic. Catfish, an omnivorous species that thrives in mud and organic waste, has become a money-printing machine for the global aquaculture industry. In the United States, especially in the Mississippi Delta, where catfish farming generates more than $4 billion annually, the harvesting process begins with the deployment of ultra-durable nylon seine nets with mesh sizes of 3 to 4 centimeters. The nets are gradually closed into smaller circles to herd the fish toward a central gathering area. On the water surface, motorboats and divers work in sync to create gentle currents that drive the fish into the net pocket, the final concentration point where tons of catfish thrash violently, making the water churn like shattered bronze. Once the fish are concentrated, industrial cranes lower giant mesh baskets to scoop up each load weighing hundreds of kilograms. Water drains quickly through the mesh, reducing lifting weight and minimizing suffocation. The catfish, firm-bodied, with silvery gray skin and bright white bellies, the hallmarks of grade 1 quality, are then ready for transport to the processing plant. Immediately afterward, the fish are placed into oxygenated tanker trucks with recirculating pumps, maintaining a density of 150 to 200 kilograms per cubic meter. The entire process, from net deployment to the tanker leaving the pond, takes less than 2 hours, ensuring the fish remain healthy, firm-fleshed, and retain their full commercial value before entering the processing stage. Octopus hunting, though practiced in many ways, has never been an easy trade. In Japan and along the Chinese coast, fishermen still capture these agile masters of disguise using an ancient method, a simple fishing rod with a sharp hook, no bait, no trap. When an octopus surfaces, they immediately strike it with an iron gaff and haul it straight onto the deck, because even a moment's delay could let it slip off the hook and vanish beneath the waves. It sounds simple, but it's a duel of reflexes, strength, and experience. A mature octopus can weigh 10 to 12 kilograms, its slick, writhing body making it a test of skill to hold. A true art of survival between human and sea's ultimate camouflage artist. In the Mediterranean, the traditional set net fishing method has been practiced for over 3 centuries. At night, hundreds of meters of nets are laid along rocky reefs, silently waiting for octopuses to wander into the mesh while hunting. The yield is modest. Sometimes hundreds of meters of net bring in only a few catches, but the reward is quality. Net-caught octopuses are always alive, firm-fleshed, and preserve their natural sweetness. Though quiet and unmechanized, the Mediterranean octopus fishery endures, supplying more than 40,000 tons annually to European and Asian markets. Beyond the numbers, it stands as a symbol of craftsmanship and reverence for the sea, where humans continue to converse with the ocean through their hands, their experience, and faith passed down through generations. Now, let's begin with the fiercest hunt in the ocean, where humans face off against the planet's most notorious predator, the shark. The first step may seem simple, but determines success or failure. Choosing the fishing ground, coral reefs, nutrient-rich ocean currents, or areas where bait fish gather. Once the location is set, massive walls of net stretching for kilometers are cast into the sea. And when a shark swims by, its fins and steel jaws, symbols of its power, become the very chains that trap it. However, this method often harms non-target species, so many countries have tightened regulations, limiting soak time, mesh size, and requiring bycatch release devices to protect marine ecosystems. That's why modern fishermen are turning to longline fishing, a method that demands strength, skill, and determination. When a shark takes the bait, the deck instantly becomes a battlefield, where humans and apex predators struggle for dominance. The key to success lies in fresh bait and low-frequency sound devices that mimic baitfish movements to lure sharks in. On industrial vessels, sharks are processed right on deck, stunned, then injected with cold seawater or ice into their gills and body cavity to preserve peak freshness until the ship returns to port. The grouper? A sea giant with a blunt snout, a powerful body, and a cold, steel-like gaze, is now harvested mainly from large-scale offshore cage farms along the coasts of Southeast Asia. When the harvest season begins, massive sea cages are gradually narrowed, driving the groupers toward the center. From the deep water, 20 to 30 kg giants slowly emerge, their firm bodies and shimmering golden-silver scales glinting under the sunlight, showing they've reached peak physical condition. Fishermen work with swift yet precise movements, using soft, specialized nets to lift each fish gently out of the water. Every motion matters. Even a small scratch can reduce its market value. The freshly caught groupers are immediately placed into oxygenated seawater tanks, helping them stay healthy and calm before reaching the shore. On deck, the harvesting crew follows a strict protocol, checking the water's temperature and salinity, monitoring each fish's condition, and ensuring that every specimen meets quality standards. This marks the culmination of over 2 years of continuous rearing, monitoring, and care powered by modern aquaculture technology. Each harvest not only holds significant economic value, worth tens of thousands of dollars, but also reflects the seamless coordination between advanced farming techniques and the fisherman's expertise. These prized trophies are swiftly transported to processing facilities, ensuring they retain the same freshness as when they were still beneath the sea. In the cold northern waters of Japan and South Korea, when sea temperatures stabilize around April to May, sea pineapple, Halosynthia raretsai, farms enter their peak harvest season, the moment that marks the culmination of an entire year of cultivation. In highly mechanized farms, the harvest operates like a finely tuned assembly line. Long ropes densely covered with sea pineapples are hoisted out of the water using hydraulic cranes or pulley systems attached to specialized harvesting vessels. As each rope passes through the stripping chamber, hundreds of sea pineapples are automatically removed by a rotating drum system that combines twisting force and water pressure. The process takes only seconds but demands absolute precision to avoid damaging the spiny outer shell or the delicate inner tissue. Once detached, the sea pineapples are collected into large plastic containers or mesh bags, then lifted by hydraulic cranes and transported immediately to shore or to floating pre-processing stations near the farms. This minimizes transport time, prevents temperature-related spoilage, and preserves the natural freshness of these deep-water creatures. In smaller or traditional farms, however, semi-manual methods are still used. Each hanging rope may carry 100 to 150 mature sea pineapples, weighing up to 45 kilograms per line. During harvest, farmers use winches or manual pulleys to lift the ropes, securing them to the boat's sides or to large floating buoys to reduce impact. Dozens of lines are pulled up one after another, then slowly brought to shore, where coastal processing stations await. Though more labor-intensive, this traditional approach keeps the sea pineapples in their natural seawater environment until the final moment, preserving their fresh flavor and reducing biological stress before processing. Across tropical Asia, freshwater shrimp farms enter harvest season right after the rains, when pond water is lowered, ready for large-scale collection. It's the final stage of months of care, where skill, speed, and precision reach their peak. Farmers cast wide nets, working in rhythm. One group holds steady, while the other tightens the circle, driving thousands of shrimp toward the center. Beneath the surface, their firm, flicking bodies signal a perfect crop. Once enclosed, shrimp are quickly scooped up and transferred into oxygenated or chilled tanks to preserve freshness and vitality. Every step is closely supervised, from timing to post-harvest handling. For farmers, this is more than work. It's the culmination of a year's dedication, where each catch reflects their skill and pride. Off the coast of the North Atlantic, another hunt begins. The pursuit of the northern red shrimp, a rare species dwelling in some of the coldest and deepest waters on Earth. Out in the vast ocean, fishermen follow natural signs, seabirds circling above or sonar signals indicating shrimp layers at depths of 150 to 400 meters. Once the location is confirmed, the order to deploy the nets is given. Giant winches and pulley systems lower funnel-shaped trawl nets to the seabed. Two large otter boards keep the mouth open as it sweeps across soft sediment where red shrimp hide. Inside, biological sorting devices automatically release turtles and other bycatch, ensuring a sustainable and responsible harvest. After 3 to 6 hours, the nets are hauled back up, bulging and heavy, a sure sign of a successful catch. The red-pink shrimp spill into the loading hopper on deck, where the automated processing system immediately takes over. Washing, grading, and flash freezing at -40 degrees Celsius to preserve their natural color and firm texture. From the moment they leave the deep sea to the time they are stored in onboard cold rooms, the entire process takes just a few minutes, a testament to the precision, speed, and technological power of modern Northern European fisheries. Continuing our journey, let's head out to the vast Atlantic Ocean, where specialized fishing vessels surge through the waves, launching a spectacular pursuit known as the mackerel hunt. In this modern chase, no method proves more effective or breathtaking than the purse seine, a massive net stretching hundreds of meters, released into the sea to form a tightening circle, like an invisible trap beneath the waves. Speed is the key to success. The faster the net closes, the slimmer the fish's chance of escape. As the final line pulls taut like a steel noose, tens of tons of shimmering mackerel are enclosed within a swirling silver mass, churning violently beneath the foaming water. Powerful hydraulic cranes roar to life, rhythmically hoisting each heavy catch and pouring it straight into deep freezing holds kept at 22 degrees Celsius, preserving their pristine freshness. In less than 30 minutes, a single haul can yield over 200 tons of fish, a bounty that once took an entire fishing village weeks to gather. It is not merely the triumph of technology, but a relentless duel between humankind and the sea. Among hundreds of fish species in the ocean, only the pufferfish can make fishermen both crave and fear it. Catching tuna demands speed, mackerel requires nets, but catching pufferfish? That's like playing with knives on a stormy deck, where every move flirts with danger amid freezing winds and crashing waves. The hunt begins with the most crucial element, bait. But not just any bait will do. Pufferfish are notoriously picky. Fishermen must use freshly caught mackerel, carefully cleaned, trimmed into perfect cubes, and salted to preserve freshness. If the mackerel oil turns rancid, the pufferfish won't even come close. Each day, up to 20,000 bait cubes are prepared and packed into 250 ice boxes, all for a single 48-kilometer long line, strung with over 20,000 razor-sharp steel hooks. Once the bait is ready, the massive line sinks slowly into the sea, its thousands of hooks forming an invisible web beneath the surface. But that's when the real risk begins. A sudden gust of wind, a lost buoy, and hundreds of hooks, worth thousands of dollars, vanish into the abyss. Many fishermen have gone bankrupt after a single unexpected storm. Catching pufferfish isn't just a trade, it's a high-stakes gamble with the ocean, where the line between ruin and fortune is drawn by just one pull of the hook. Tilapia, the most widely farmed white fish on the planet, with an annual yield exceeding 6 million tons, is often called the chicken of aquaculture. It's primarily harvested in the warm waters of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where stable climates and abundant fresh water create ideal growing conditions. Harvesting is carried out using large seine nets or specialized fish pumps. As tens of thousands of fish are drawn together, the surface comes alive with movement. The harvest crew works in perfect sync, closing the net gradually, herding the fish into a central area. Every motion must be precise, fast enough to prevent escape, yet gentle enough to avoid bruising scales or breaking fins. Once gathered, the fish are transferred directly into aerated tanker trucks, the first-class cabins of aquaculture transport. Inside, water temperature and oxygen levels are carefully regulated, keeping the fish healthy and alive all the way to the processing plant. From netting to transport and handling, every step is timed to perfection, because just a few minutes' delay can affect meat quality due to biological stress. For fish farmers, this isn't merely a technical process, but a code of respect for the creatures they raise and for the hard work that sustains their livelihood. Unlike white clams or scallops, which are often harvested on an industrial scale using sand suction dredgers or powerful trawl boats, blood cockles remain largely tied to traditional manual harvesting methods, a rhythm deeply woven into coastal life. When the tide recedes to its lowest point, a narrow 2-3 hour window each day, hundreds of workers spread across the mudflats, bent low, hands digging and raking. Some use 10 to 12-tooth steel hooks attached to long handles, gently scraping the soft mud to uncover shells buried 5 to 10 centimeters deep. Every movement requires precision and sensitivity. Too much force, and the shell breaks. Too little, and it slips deeper into the mud, losing its market value. Yet, to meet the rising global demand, many coastal farms have begun adopting controlled mechanization, integrating modern dragnet systems. Heavy nets are lowered into the muddy seabed, plowing long strips and gathering clusters of cockles, which are hoisted up by hydraulic cranes. Within minutes, hundreds of kilograms of shellfish are dumped into onboard bins, then immediately washed, sorted, and packed on the vessel itself. Compared to the traditional sun-drenched hand-picking on muddy shores, this new method is 5 to 10 times more efficient, yielding 5 to 8 tons per day. But that speed comes at a price. High investment costs and the risk of disturbing the seabed ecosystem, threatening plankton populations and natural broodstocks that sustain future harvests. And now, join us as we embark on the long-awaited journey, the lobster harvest. As the first rays of summer sunlight break through, usually in June, Maine's fishermen prepare for their pursuit of the ocean's treasure, the lobster. This is the moment when these crustaceans are most active, creating the perfect conditions to set the traps and begin a journey that is as arduous as it is rewarding. For a lobster voyage to be considered successful, American fishermen uphold age-old traditions passed down through generations. First, they prepare the bait with great care, usually herring or cod. and it must be dead. The smellier the better to lure lobsters. These pieces of bait are carefully placed inside large, sturdy traps. The boats are thoroughly inspected and maintained, equipped with powerful hauling systems, ready to brave rough seas and head into deep waters, where lobsters gather to spawn and hide among rocky reefs. Upon reaching the fishing grounds, the crew begins lowering intricately designed traps, built with one-way entrances that allow lobsters to crawl in easily but make escape nearly impossible. However, each trap also includes a special release opening to free undersized lobsters or other marine creatures, helping to protect the long-term sustainability of the fishery. Constructed from sturdy wire mesh, the traps are set at depths of 30 to 50 feet, depending on the seafloor terrain and the lobster's migratory habits. Finally, every trap is marked with a buoy floating silently on the waves, patiently awaiting the moment of harvest. After several hours of waiting or sometimes leaving the traps overnight, the crew begins the harvest, the most intense and anticipated stage of the lobster fishing journey. Rough seas, towering waves, and biting winds cannot stop the skilled hands hauling heavy traps up from the depths, using sheer muscle or powerful mechanical winches. As soon as a trap touches the deck, it is immediately opened. The writhing lobsters are poured out and sorted right on board. Each individual is carefully inspected for size, gender, and overall health. Under the strict regulations of the U.S. Fisheries and Marine Resources Conservation Law, only lobsters with a carapace length between 3.25 and 5 inches, measured from the eye socket to the end of the shell, and not carrying eggs may be retained. Any lobsters that are undersized, oversized, carrying eggs, or any non-commercial species accidentally caught must be returned to the ocean. In the United States, these regulations are rigorously enforced to protect lobster populations and prevent overfishing. For fishermen, this is not just about obeying the law. It is a responsibility to preserve the sustainability of the fishery and secure resources for future generations. Finally, immediately after harvesting, the lobsters' powerful claws are bound with rubber bands to prevent them from injuring one another, reducing their market value, or from delivering a crushing pinch that no fisherman would ever want to feel. After sorting, the lobsters are placed into special holding tanks filled with clean seawater and equipped with continuous aeration systems to keep them alive. This step is crucial to ensure the lobsters maintain peak freshness until the vessel returns to port. Time is of the essence. Crew members work almost non-stop, averaging 16 to 20 hours a day to handle and preserve the catch properly. The water in these tanks is typically kept at 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, cold enough to slow the lobster's metabolism, reduce their activity, and conserve energy, yet not so cold as to cause shock or mortality. Alongside the traditional method of trap fishing, some American fishermen take a bolder approach, diving directly into the sea to harvest lobsters destined for high-end dining tables. This method is particularly effective in shallow waters, where lobsters hide deep within rocky crevices and coral reefs, places where traps often prove ineffective. Its clear advantage lies in allowing fishermen to selectively harvest only prime specimens, minimizing the capture of undersized lobsters or those carrying eggs. Yet the drawbacks are far from minor. The work demands exceptional physical strength, professional diving skills, and unwavering courage, as divers constantly face the risks of powerful currents, sharp objects on the seafloor, and even the unexpected reactions of the lobsters themselves. Each dive becomes more than just grueling physical labor. It is a mentally taxing ordeal, where every movement must be executed with absolute precision to avoid disturbance, safeguard human life, and preserve the pristine value of one of the ocean's most luxurious delicacies.